Welcome back. Now here's a look at that main course that Neil prepared earlier, and we're going to be tucking into that in the next break.
Certainly smells good. Right, the two women with us today fought through their battles with cancer and are now using their experience to help others by launching Ireland's cancer support resource, Happy Magazine.
Joining us today to tell us more about it is founder and editor Holly Kennedy and contributing writer Natasha Whelan. Good morning, ladies. Thank you for coming in.
Good morning.
Let's talk about Happy Magazine to begin with.
Sure.
Where did the idea come from, and from the seed of the idea to where we are now, what was the process?
Okay. Well, my diagnosis of breast cancer came about 2 years ago now, this Christmas. I had a new baby at home. I was breastfeeding him, and that's how I found a lump. I was diagnosed very quickly, within a week or so, and my treatment journey began very, very quickly. You know, everybody talks about the whirlwind. That's very much what it was for me. And before I knew it, I was into 20 weeks of chemotherapy.
Wow.
In St. James's Hospital. And it was during that time, you know, my husband and I were spending a lot of hours in the hospital, waiting for treatment, going to appointments, getting chemotherapy. And I was looking around for the magazine to help me with this time in my life. I'm a journalism graduate and a graphic designer, so I was looking for the magazine that would help me with this, and I couldn't find one. And I thought, right, well, maybe this is why I'm here. And
Yes.
It became a task for me. You know, it was something...
So you are a new baby at home, new mum.
Yeah.
Your whole world has changed.
It was crazy.
Like, you couldn't possibly, not that anyone can possibly prepare themselves for a diagnosis of cancer,
Yeah.
but it's just so much to deal with, isn't it? Can I just ask you about the lump in your breast as well?
Yeah.
You're breastfeeding, and quite often your breasts would be kind of lumpy because of milk or because of the feeding pattern.
That's
How
it.
did you know that it was a lump to worry about?
I didn't. I texted other mums that also breastfed, and I said, I have a lump. They said to me, oh, did you try this? Did you try that? You know, all the kind of common remedies for if it was a blocked milk duct. I tried those things. They didn't work. I actually looked up breastfeeding.ie, and their advice is if it doesn't go away after 2 weeks, to get it checked by your GP.
Okay.
So I gave it the 2 weeks. It didn't go away, and that's when I went down to my GP, and everything kind of stemmed from that visit.
Okay.
But myself, I just thought it was breastfeeding related. I was convinced it was. I thought I was too young for cancer.
Yes.
And I also thought
That's
it would
not
never
for me.
happen to me.
Yeah, and doesn't everybody think like that?
Oh, I really did. You know, even the day I was in the hospital waiting room, I just felt like this is definitely breastfeeding related. I'm not getting bad news. You know, so when the news did come, I was devastated, to say the least, you know.
And how are you now, Holly?
I'm doing great now.
Good.
I had 13 months of treatment in total. I had the 20 weeks of chemotherapy.
It takes over your life, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was a year, you know,
Yeah.
and so I finished all my treatment in February this year.
Okay.
And that's it. I was, I suppose, going to go back to work in June this year, and that's when I decided, no, I'm going to continue with Happy Magazine, which has been online for a year already. And
So
I
is
thought
it
we'd
fair
take
to
it the
say
next
that you
level.
are now in remission?
Yes, that's what they would say now, yes.
Okay.
So
Which
the
is
hope
amazing,
is,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
hope
it's a
is I'm
positive.
okay now, and that's what I'm focusing on.
Okay, and before we move on to the magazine, Natasha, can we get your cancer journey as well? Because both of you have gone on a very similar path here, haven't you?
Yeah, it's. I suppose for me, my diagnosis was a bit different. It was a long time coming. I first presented with breast changes rather than a lump when I was pregnant at the end of 2016, and. Like, you're pregnant, everything changes.
Everything's changing,
you know,
yes.
It's
like someone
doctors-
else's body, isn't it?
Yeah, it's taken over. But yeah, doctors assumed it was pregnancy related. The thickening I felt and the pain. I also had quite a sharp pain. So, you know, I gave birth, had my daughter, carried on as normal. She was about 8 months old, and I was continuing to feel breast pain and thickening in the tissue. I didn't have the lump.
Okay,
that
but there was
people
a
assume.
hardness to the
Yeah,
touch.
it felt thicker, the tissue. It was, it was just the texture that had changed, but there was no changes to the skin. There was no actual lump. So I went back to my GP. Again, they assumed it was hormonal. You know, baby was only 8 months old. Takes your body a while to go back to normal. I was seen again a few months later in 2017. It was around March time. Again, it was assumed that it was hormonal. At this stage, I suppose, it felt more nodular. But again, it wasn't your typical lump. So it was June last year, and I actually asked, for a referral, and I was seen privately at St James's, and they did a mammogram. Did the mammogram, and I was told you're going to need an ultrasound straight away, and alarm bells were starting to clang all over the place.
That whirlwind begins.
Yeah, and then the
Hollywood
whirlwind starts. So they did an ultrasound on the day. Said that they'd move things around in the schedule, do a biopsy that afternoon, and have the results through on the Tuesday, which was only 5 days later.
Wow.
So for me, when I went back in for that appointment where they give you the results, I knew deep down, and I'd actually had, I'd been quite anxious that something was wrong, and I'd had this feeling that something was off, but I think that people kept telling me it was okay. I didn't fit the profile, I was under 40, and I suppose the reason I'm mentioning that I didn't have a lump is because it's not always a lump.
Of course.
It's, pain is a symptom. If you've persistent pain, go get it checked. If you've thickening in the tissue. And part of, I think, what threw people off as well is that I had what's called multifocal disease. So I had a number of small tumours in the breast as well. So, yeah, diagnosed. I had some surgeries. I had a sentinel node biopsy, and they found it had spread to my lymph nodes. I had a mastectomy, and then I started into chemo. So while we've both been through the same illness, we've had a slightly different treatment paths. Because,
and then how did you take us through how you got involved then with Happy Magazine?
Well, yeah, I'm a researcher, and I kind of went down the Google rabbit hole, and I was just looking everywhere.
Very dangerous route to take.
Very dangerous thing to do. It was like,
I know we've all done it.
But I was just searching for something that was going to tell me I would be okay. And I couldn't find it, and all you could find were statistics.
It tells you quite the opposite,
horror
doesn't
stories.
it?
And, I was traumatized. Like, stay away from Google.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so I actually one day during treatment, I was about round 4 of the chemo, and I actually Googled, something about being positive with cancer. I was like, I have to find something that's not going to, set me into tears. And Happy Magazine actually popped up.
Brilliant.
So I started following it, and we met online via that. I started interacting with Holly and with the magazine quite a lot online. I wrote like an article, and I'm going to continue to write more articles.
Brilliant.
For
So
the
you're
magazine.
continuing to contribute to the magazine.
Yeah.
Holly, the magazine is online at the moment.
Yes.
Okay. And
So it's been online for over a year now.
Okay.
I started writing it last July, and I write every single day. And the
Brilliant.
idea behind that is the website forms an ongoing cancer support resource. So it's something that's there for you every single day through a cancer journey, not just on a day when you can get to a cancer support centre or to your hospital.
Well, we'll pop details up on our website and social media how to get to the magazine.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story, ladies.
Yeah.
And
Thank you so
Happy
much.
Magazine. It's a great
congratulations,
story.
ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you
Turned
very much for having
an
me.
awful experience into something very positive, which
Yeah.
is great and inspiring for men and women out there, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for
Thank
men
you.
too.
It is
Thank
for
you,
men,
ladies.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Right,
you.
after the break, the set is about to be overrun by kids. We've last-minute Halloween costume ideas coming up